It's noon, and we should begin in a minute. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, the outfit. So in our continuing saga of where in the world is Star Networking from this time, because as most of you know, I am rarely in the same location, let me give you some hints about where I am today. One, there are quite a few characters walking around. Two, it's indeed a small world after all. And three, I keep bumping into this one gentleman who frankly has the biggest ears I've ever seen. Well, if you guessed Disney World, you're exactly right. Welcome to our latest NAPW eChapter event. Whether you are joining us for the first time or have been a part of our bi-weekly virtual meetings from the beginning, I welcome each and every one of you. Your support and enthusiasm for this exciting initiative is so inspiring to me. The NAPW eChapter is now at more than 15,000 members, and I cannot thank you all enough for what you've done to make this such an enormous success. But actually, Disney World is the perfect place to host this week's eChapter event. After all, today's meeting focuses on a topic that is relevant to professional women: optimizing your personal brand. Now, my personal brand is taking a hit today with the mini ears, but I do have the little diva red, so it's sticking with exactly what I am and who I am. But I think you can agree with me, Walt Disney was the master of branding and keeping it up with the brand, both professionally and personally. When your brand talks about you, what is it saying? Is it supporting your long-term goals? Do you regularly audit your online presence? Remember, your brand is everywhere, at work, at networking events, even at social gatherings. And it's important that it tells the story you actually want people to hear. So here today, to help you perfect your personal branding strategy, is a panel of experts who will offer their insight and share their professional expertise. All NAPW VIP members, these women are branding experts who enjoy highly successful careers in the fields of marketing, social media, and public relations. I really can't wait for you all to hear what they have to say. But before we get to the panel discussion, you're going to hear from three more fabulous VIP members in our VIP member spotlight: an engineer, an entrepreneur who works to empower youth to take control of their financial futures, and a media professional. And you will have such insight when you hear what they have to tell us about their professional journeys. Remember, this is really all about networking and growing your success. Finally, I want to encourage you to be sure to participate in the polls that will appear throughout the meeting. The interactive aspect of the eChapter meetings gives us some really great insight into our attendees and your thoughts on some very important topics. They also help us set agenda for the future eChapter meetings. Before I turn the meeting over to your facilitator and my colleague and friend Louise Newsom, who is also the president of our New York City chapter and the national director of chapters, I'd like to leave you with one of my favorite quotes from Walt Disney himself. Words I deeply believe in. If you can dream it, you can do it. And this is a world their dreams are made of. So I'm sure the mothers out there, the working mothers out there, will understand when I say to you, I am taking my new stepson on his Orlando adventure, and today we're doing Disney World. So I'm going to leave you and go and do the other part of my job: personal and professional networking. That's what we're all about. Louise, take it away.
Thank you, Star. Have a wonderful day. You look fabulous. And welcome to NAPW's eChapter with bi-weekly events held Wednesdays at noon and 4 p.m. Eastern. The eChapter is unique to NAPW as it hosts only our members nationally, inviting them to be spotlights, panelists, and guests to network with each other throughout the event. We encourage you to carve out the time and keep coming back to our eChapter because of its ease and ability to network from your office while on the road and even from the comfort of your own home. So mark your calendars for every other Wednesday and look out for the email invites and promotions on social media. As always, I'd like to welcome our NAPW members, especially if you're joining us for the first time today. We also have in attendance some additional corporate moderators to assist you or just chat with you along the way. They are Talia Cardiello, Director of Membership Services, Samantha Picorni, Local Chapter Manager, who will do her best to offer technical support if needed, and Dana Angel, Graphic Designer and Digital Media Manager, who will be live posting throughout the event on NAPW's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and will be encouraging you in the chat room to share our posts on your social media. You'll also see several times during the event a poll pop up on your screen. Please take a minute to answer the questions as we'll share the results during the panel discussion. The agenda for our event today is that we'll be showcasing first 3 IV member business spotlights who have 3 minutes each to share their expertise before we invite our panelists on to discuss our topic for today, optimizing your personal brand. So for our first spotlight today, I'd like to introduce Jasmine Birch, whose professional title is Technical Services Engineer at Emergent Biosolutions. Her skills and areas of expertise include process engineering, pharmaceutical engineering and manufacturing, and capital project management. Jasmine received her BCHE from Cleveland State University. She is currently involved with several organizations such as SWE, ISPE, and SBE, as well as NAPW, of course. She is drawn to and passionate about charitable organizations such as United Way, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and the American Red Cross. Jasmine is also the newly appointed Rockville, Maryland chapter president. And so we welcome you, Jasmine. Jasmine, are you there?
Hello, I am here. Thank you, Louise.
Wonderful, Jasmine. Go right ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies. Hello, everyone. I'm Jasmine Birch. I'm a chemical engineer. I'm also working toward an MBA right now at University of Maryland. And I'll just tell you a little bit about myself, short version. I think I knew I wanted to be a chemical engineer beginning in the 7th grade. An engineering program actually came to our school and let us do different activities, and we got to make slime. So ever since then, I said, wow, this is something that I'd absolutely, love to do. So I went to college and did chemical engineering. Very, very difficult major. My story as an undergrad is a long and convoluted story, but I got a lot of really good and valuable experience. As an undergrad, I did work full-time, host of odd jobs, and one day I got an internship at Avery Dennison, and that was actually the beginning of me working in the industry. From there, I had several other positions. I worked for a global pharmaceutical company, Boehringer Ingelheim. After that, I worked briefly with PPG, and I came full circle back to Avery Dennison, and that was all before I graduated. So once I did graduate, I had 3, solid years of industry experience, and as you may or may not know, the chemical engineering industry is definitely a male-dominated industry, so trying to break in there can be rather difficult. And a lot of times in an industry like this, your education can kind of be negated, and people really look at your solid industry experience. So of all of the experience that I gained as an undergrad, I found that pharmaceuticals is what I enjoyed the most, and that's what I was the most passionate about. And I feel like I have a unique perspective, definitely working in pharmaceuticals, being in a male-dominated environment, but I use everything that I learn. I'm a dedicated learner, and I, try to spread the knowledge and awareness that I have, with others. I work with young ladies in math and science, and I try to push young ladies towards STEM fields like chemical engineering. And if I could leave you with one takeaway today, I would say for me, my personal brand is based on hard work and work ethic. Chemical engineering definitely no easy feat, but it is something that is attainable with hard work, focus, and tenacity. And one thing that I will tell you that I learned along my way, my journey, is that it's okay to fail at something. Throughout my life, I had never failed at anything. Everything was effortless for me, but engineering was a little bit different. I had to, apply myself. Things weren't so effortless anymore. But from that, I learned that failing at something was, something that happens. And then I learned to, move on. What can I learn from this experience, and how can I get better? And you only get better with hard work. So again, that's my takeaway, my personal brand: hard work, stick-to-itiveness, tenacity, and, with hard work, anything is possible. And I'll leave you with that.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thanks for your insight and inspiration. I invite you to go over to the chat room and continue the conversation over there. For our next spotlight, I'd like to introduce Stacey Engelbrecht, owner of Cheyenne Feed and Supply LLC and author of Sam's Project. She has been in business now 14 years as owner-operator of Cheyenne Feed and Supply LLC, which specializes in feed retail and pet supplies. Stacey is also the creator and author of Sam's Project, a financial simulation project that is designed to teach grades 6 through 12 basic skills on personal finance and empowering students for their future. She believes that personal finance is the key to your future, and through game playing and role playing has brought this learning tool to over 200 schools. Stacey's skills and areas of expertise include marketing and sales, author and teacher, also a member of NFIB and the Continental Who's Who. Good afternoon, Stacey. Come join us here and share your spotlight today.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Joining you from the plains of eastern Colorado, where most say we live in the middle of nowhere, as we are 72 miles from Walmart. So reaching the amount of schools and the amount of students has taken some hard work and dedication. It all started with an opportunity to share my passion for finance and numbers with the 6th grade class out of our local school. And through that, we had discussed with the teacher in the classroom and myself the need to share with our students what they're learning in the classroom and how it applies to everyday life, from learning percentages and basic math to the importance of penmanship, the way they communicate with each other. So Sam was created as a role play for the first 5 months. There's 13 roles, from the business owner to the employer paying the check, to paying the landlord for rent and the mechanic shop, the fuel station, the super center, the quick stop, everything that we deal with on a regular basis, and teaching them how to interact and be able to make the deposits into their account, and just how fast money leaves, because the first 5 months are all cash basis. And then Sam is a college student, so they can relate to their own dreams, their own understanding of where they're headed. So it works great from a 6th grade through their senior year to be able to empower them for their future by teaching them the basic skills of personal finance. Sam becomes a full-time employee in June, so therefore they create their own checks. They have their transaction ledgers, and all through this they're learning how to create a budget. So some of the very important skills for empowering them for their future, and it fits perfectly with that age because they're not studied with a car payment, they're not in with a house payment that they can't afford, and they're not overloaded with credit card debt at this point. So it gives them the skills to understand cash flow and the need for a budget before they get in over their heads. And they have also, it can be taught anywhere, as far as any classroom setting, homeschool setting, grandparents across your kitchen table, anywhere that there is a teacher-student setting. We can be good to go with any of those settings. Oops, sorry. The how you can reach the information is through my website at Sam's Project 14. There's a PowerPoint to take a look at the information and kind of get an idea of the instructor edition and the student edition. And the keys that I have learned so much about being able to empower students, and the feedback that I've received from other adults is the parents are going, man, I wish my college student would have learned this information before they got into all the college debt. I have received information from other business owners that it would be great for their employees to understand the difference of net pay versus gross wages, which is also a word problem in the book. I have personally been involved with business for 14 years to where I deal with people that are writing bad checks because they don't understand just what it takes to be on a budget. So it's life skills that have just turned my life around completely. I have been able to network with so many individuals, so many schools, so many teachers, and the greatest blessing I have received from all of this is to know that somewhere out there we have empowered students that have opened doors for them that they didn't even know existed. So I would love to join you in the chat room for any more questions that you may have. If you know of anybody in the educational side, the professional finance side, I would love to visit with you and connect and be able to share this book with you.
Thank you, Stacey, for sharing this educational program with us. Yes, and please go over to the chat room and chat with the lady and see if you can connect with some people that you can really work together with on this. Last but not least, for our spotlights today, I would like to introduce Kelly Brown, CEO of the Pat Brown System, LLC, and NAPW's Bakersfield, California chapter president for the past 2 years. Kelly comes from a big family raised in Chicago, Illinois, but moved to the West Coast in 1986, where she attended the University of Southern California, majoring in broadcast journalism and communications. Kelly has worked in the media industry since high school, starting as an intern in the newsroom at KBAK, ABC affiliate, and receiving another job offer from KGET, an NBC affiliate, as assignment editor, as well as a weekend reporter. She has also done news, talk radio for various affiliates such as KTLA, an independent broadcasting network based out of Los Angeles. After several years in the media, Kelly took a position as a marketing and public relations director at one of the world's largest multi-million-dollar AutoCAD software companies, where she received several awards. Now, for the past 7 years, Kelly has been working side by side with her husband, Pat Brown, overseeing many aspects of the business. Hi, Kelly, great to have you here today.
Hello, thank you.
How you doing?
It's great to be here.
Wonderful, go right ahead.
Again, I'm not going to reiterate what she just said, all that wonderful stuff, but I will start by saying that on my branding, that is what Star touched on, and that is what we do. Being in the industry of communicating and everything, we never really realized how important it is to brand yourself and represent who you are. And that was the biggest thing, that why we started our business is my husband was in the nutrition line for a long time. I was in communications, so we were constantly working with people. And what we realized is that he was sending his clients, and we were mentoring the younger generation about being healthy and getting healthy, and we didn't realize that in this industry that they take shortcuts, because, well, we worked hard for ours, so why doesn't everybody else? And hence that is where the Pat Brown system came about, is we decided to make our own supplement line focused on the younger generation. Every year we change our organization that we want to donate to. This year is Children Obesity, and that's huge. We have kids that are just taking shortcuts in life, and we want to be mentoring them in a proper way. And being a mom now, it touches, the heart a little bit more. I have a 15-year-old son who's an athlete and wants to be involved in everything. And, the boys are competing, who's healthier, who's not healthier. That is why we're educating. That is why we're teaching the younger generation and so on, even the moms, about taking care of you, branding you. What you put on social media is you. Having a glass of wine and showing it, taking a photo with your coffee cup. What are you representing? Who are you representing? And all of this kind of came into a head with me on a level where when I was everything was kind of like flowing just right and everything, and a friend of mine called me and said, hey, Kelly, what could, I know you did this and I know you did this, but I want you to be involved in the NAPW. And in the beginning I thought, oh, I don't have time for this. I'm a businesswoman, I'm a CEO, I'm this, I don't have time for that. And the one thing that I did notice is I went to one of the meetings, and I thought, gosh, this goes hand in hand with my business. It's branding me. It's expressing to others. It's on a bigger market. It's selfishly, I was like, oh, this is great. I can relate to women. But what it ended up being is that I was able to communicate with a larger crowd. And if I can show and influence women in a positive way, then why not open it up to different avenues? Am I still on? Hello?
Yes, you're still there.
I'm sorry. Okay, because the screen went black for a second there. So needless to say, I went to the NAPW meeting. I was excited about it, and bottom line is, being chapter president, it has opened a couple other doors for me as a businesswoman, as a mom, as a superwoman. You know, we tend to put ourselves on the back burner. So branding myself was a big deal. Not only am I a CEO and a partner with my husband, but I'm also an independent woman. I'm also an independent mother. So, you know, that is the one thing that I think that we need to do, project ourselves as women. There is a quote that I always go by, and I like it. I love sports. Michael Jordan said it. It's been said a million times, and I love this, and I want to share it with you guys. Some people want to make it happen. Some wish they want to make it happen. Others make it happen. So what's the difference? You know, you can think about it, oh, I need to lose 20 pounds. I wish I can lose 20 pounds. I wish I was motivated as you. But really, it's you deciding that I'm going to make me who I am. And I'm obviously, you can tell I'm very passionate about what I love. And
Kelly,
you know,
I'm
yes.
sorry, I do have to interrupt you. We have a panel to get going. We're running out of time. You know, go into the chat room, please. Go there. Share with women. You've got lots of great things to share. I'm sorry to cut you off, but we've got to move along with our segment today. But
Yes.
I really appreciate you being here. And
Thank you.
like I said, keep going in the chat room. Keep it going.
Thank you.
So it's time now to continue our program and move on to our panel discussion. So for our first panelist, I'd like to welcome Jessica Joy Reveles, who is a seasoned editor and writer with an extensive marketing background. She has founded J Squared Communications in 2012, a boutique marketing firm that caters to Los Angeles and Orange County businesses. Jessica brings nearly 15 years of integrated marketing, including social media, instructional design, and teaching experience across fashion and beauty, health and wellness, and lifestyle. She specializes in social media for business with a focus on training companies on how to leverage social and analytics tools. She has developed and led courses and workshops on personal branding, social media, and entrepreneurship at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, the Art Institute of California, Hollywood, and recently appeared on an entrepreneurship panel at the Cal State University, Fullerton. Jessica serves as the social media chair on the NAPW Los Angeles local chapter board, and she's also an active member of the Connected Women of Influence Orange County and the Women Speakers Association. She's also a host. She also hosts a streaming TV show for and about professional women called Women Who Work on the WCOBM network. Welcome, Jessica. Come join us here on the screen. Okay. Wonderful. Great. Good morning, Jessica. You know what? If I can ask you to just mute yourself, because remember we had some feedback issues, just while I introduce the next panelist. Thank you. So for our next panelist, I'd like to invite Sarita North on, who received an associate's degree in fashion merchandising and management and a bachelor's in advertising, marketing and communications at the Fashion Institute of Technology. She also holds a minor in Asian studies. Sarita is currently the social media coordinator for VH1. She manages daily social media content on VH1 Main's Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Sarita works with music and celebrity talent for content creation distribution on VH1 Music, VH1 Celebrity, and VH1 itself. She has also worked on major tentpole events such as VH1's Big in 2015, Big Music in 2015, MTV Movie Awards, MTV Video Music Awards, red carpet premieres, and so much more. She's an active member in organizations such as Scenarios USA, Public Relations Society of America, as well as our very own NAPW. Good morning, Sarita. Come join us here on the panel. Hi, Sarita. How are you
Hi,
doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Okay, so for our final panelist, last but not least, of course, for today, I welcome Yasmin Anderson, President of KYMS Image International LLC, a personal branding and image management training, coaching, and consulting firm, which is located in the Washington, D.C. metro area. Yasmin is an award-winning coach, trainer, speaker, and author who brings leading-edge experience in the fields of business and personal image management, personal branding, and civility in the workplace. She succeeds in igniting, elevating, and empowering businesswomen, young professionals, and college students to project confidence, credibility, and embrace civility in their image and personal brand. A former management professional and over 15 years experience, Yasmin rebranded her career as an entrepreneur in 2016 with the founding of KYMS Image International. Also in 2016, Yasmin created and launched Every Girl Can, a life skills mentoring program known for empowering teen girls to embrace a healthy body, image, etiquette, and civility. Yasmin's media appearances include USA Today, ESPN, Washington Business Journal, Black Enterprise Magazine, and has also been on numerous talk show radio. Good afternoon, I should say, Yasmin. Are you there?
Good afternoon, Louise. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. So glad to have you here today. Yasmin, come on screen with us. It seems like you've gone off. Are you there? Okay, so...
Can you see me?
No, but as you get yourself organized, I am going to move into the first question. So the first question is actually for all of you today, ladies. You all use different platforms to promote and market a variety of brands. Share with us what you would say are your top 5 must-dos when it comes to branding. And if you'd also like to share a few must-nots. So we'll start with Jessica. Jessica, would you like to start with us today on your comments?
Absolutely. So I think with regard to social media and posting on a lot of different platforms, my 5 tips are use a social media scheduling tool, something like Hootsuite, Buffer, or Sprout Social. I personally have used Hootsuite for many years. They are the leader and tend to be at the cutting edge of the technology that's available for social posts and scheduling those posts. And then the second thing is align your posts with the popular times of day where, based on your analytics in your social media, are people on at 9 o'clock in the morning? Are they responding in the afternoon? Are they up at maybe midnight? What are the popular times to post? So align your posts with analytics with regard to popular times to post. Also, customize your message across all platforms. So even though you're using a social media scheduler tool, you don't want to schedule the same exact post across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. They are all different platforms, and they all move a little bit differently in terms of the reach and how Twitter's 140 characters, and that's the format for Twitter posts. Facebook tends to be a little longer. It skews toward a little bit older of an audience, and LinkedIn is professional. Instagram is a little bit more casual and uses a lot of emojis. So all of the different platforms you should post and cater to those specific platforms. And then also you want to tag organizations and people or individuals who you're mentioning in your posts so that they see the post and can respond and engage with the post. And then also use hashtags, which you don't have to use 15 different hashtags in a post, but if you use them wisely, you can. That's a great way to attract followers who might be searching popular hashtags.
Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, so I know that Sarita is on the line with us too, and is very social media driven as well. So Sarita, you can unmute yourself. I want to ask you. Obviously you're in a place where it's celebrity driven, and you're dealing with those kinds of brands. So what would you say if somebody's talking about their actual physical image, their branding image? What would be your 5 must-dos and maybe some must-nots as well?
I would think that just working with celebrity and talent, it gets pretty difficult, and also sometimes you can't forget that working with celebrity talent versus crafting your own personal brand are 2 different things. When crafting your own personal brand, so that that way you can see growth of time over time, is being visible and engaging with your audience. And I couldn't have said it any better than Jessica right now. She had amazing tips right now. But also, to Jessica's point, don't spam your feed. Don't, use a million hashtags to get your point across. Your audience is liking your page and engaging with you because they believe in what you say. So be authentic and don't try to insert yourself in conversations where it doesn't appeal to your brand, but organically and naturally find your brand, fit your brand into the conversation, what's going on. There's so many trending hashtags that are going on, and you see so many brands that find themselves in mess ups on Twitter because they are inserting themselves into the wrong conversation. The best way is to find in something that's trending that fits your brand, and also be consistent across all your social media platforms. Definitely when you're scheduling with a number of amazing social scheduling tools like Hootsuite, making sure that all your profile photos, your backgrounds, your logos, and your website are all consistent across the board.
Wonderful, Sarita. You know what? There's things I definitely want to touch on with you, the things you're talking to now, but kind of blow them out a little more when I get back to you on my next question with you. I do want to actually ask Yasmin to come on. Yasmin, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. Wonderful. We can see you as well. So your insight here, as somebody who's image focused with branding and especially working with cross generations as well, what would you say are some 5 must-dos and then certainly some must-not-dos?
Well, the panel has shared wonderful tips, and I want to just add a few things. The first thing is that branding operates based on rules, and one of the very first rules of branding is that you must be authentic. Be yourself inside and out, so that you project that consistency and that you are really you, because nobody else can do it like you can. The second thing is to think about standing out. Stand out and be identifiable. Someone must be able to look at you and recognize you for what you stand for, that you are projecting what you are most confident in, project that confidence. So you have to have that identifiability, as some of the previous panels say, and make sure that this comes across in all of your different platforms, but also personally, in terms of your personal appearance and your image, have that identifiability so that you stand out. The next thing is to clearly define your target audience. I know there's a tendency among women to think that they can do everything for everyone, they can be everywhere, all the time, but really define that target audience that you want to build your brand with. Define what they do, what they like, where they are, what are they most interested in, and direct your messaging in that direction. The other thing I want to say is that think about branding as being part of a network. Just as NAPW is a network, think of yourself as being part of this group of people that you have like-minded interests with, and nurture that network. So you want to share quality content, you want to share value, you want to give them something that they can remember, that they can use, and that they can apply in their everyday lives. So nurture your network and build that positive, constant relationship with them consistently, constantly, and clearly.
So Yasmin, yes, I mean, as we go into the next question, which is actually for you again, it's about building that strong personal brand, which you've touched on here. I mean, authenticity, I mean, it's key. Great, you can't just decide, oh, this is how I look, so this is my brand, done. It's about building actually a relationship out there, a consistent relationship with your target audience, I would presume, so that people trust you. The trust is a big piece of this, and then the brand builds around that. Obviously, I'm just trying to think of, having, what would be some top tips around that, around, the messaging. Is it really about the way you look? Is it about what you're saying? Is it all of it? Tell us a little bit about that, Yasmin. Oh, you have to unmute yourself. You're still muted.
Okay, it's all of those things, Louise. And as I said, branding is really based on a set of rules. And the foundation of branding is all about 3 C's: consistency, clarity, and constancy. So strong brands live through the ages because they are there all the time. They're consistent, they have clear messaging, and they're constant. So that you will participate in a product in France, in the United States, in Hong Kong, and it's the same. So Coca-Cola, for example, it's the same. There's consistency and there's truth. But also, as you said, you're building that relationship with your audience where there's ongoing trust, and you're continuing to build trust so that that emotional connection that you have with your audience, they can, it's trustworthy. It's based on trust, and they can look forward to knowing that you are going to deliver on that brand promise, and it's going to be the same no matter where you are. So consistency, constancy, and clarity are the three hallmarks of personal branding, and all the great brands that have lived through the ages are known for these three characteristics that keep them going, that keep their audience connected with them, because they know that the relationship is based on these continued values.
You know, I'm just thinking, Yasmin, I mean, you know, some brands do take shifts. They tweak themselves. You know, I don't know if you have an example of to share of a company or even a personal brand where they shifted themselves and they managed to do it successfully, or maybe they shifted themselves and they managed to do it, they actually was unsuccessful, and why?
Absolutely, it's a great point, because you're right. You do sometimes have to tweak your brand. You have to revisit your brand promise. You have to make sure that it's aligned with your target audience. So take, for example, that same example with Coca-Cola. Once they tried a new product, it was a Coke, a sugar-free product or a product with lime, a different flavor, and it didn't go off very well. And so, you know, that met with a little bit of resistance within their target audience, and they had to pull it off the shelf. I think another great brand that did a retweaking was Campbell Soup. You know, they changed up some aspects of their product, and the market didn't like it, and so they had to pull back. So you're constantly testing, though. If you maintain that connection with your audience and you're monitoring feedback, and you're really looking to see what responses come from your brand, and you're doing this because, as the previous panelist said, you're constantly monitoring all those platforms where you're doing your messaging, so you get that feedback, and you can instantly tell that that was not successful. So you go back to the drawing board and you reshape.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful information there, Yasmin. Thank you. Sarita, social media, it can be your friend or your foe due to the ability, as we all know, to share information quickly to a large audience. Share with us some strategies around solid branding on social media.
Thank you, Louise. So to my point earlier about social media, it's constantly changing, and your brand should be able to adapt to your audience's timeline. Like, your audience is the most important thing, and you have to be able to cater to them in the best way possible. I mean, being like visible isn't enough anymore. Like, you have to offer your consumers something that no one else is doing. You have to be a personality as well and connect with people and be a presence on social media that resonates with them. You also can't really force, as I mentioned earlier, you can't really force your brand into conversations where you don't fit, but you have to organically craft that conversation. One thing that I found when you're branding yourself online is people always think that whatever you post on Facebook works for Twitter and works for Instagram or works for Snapchat. It doesn't work that way. A lot of brands are starting to use Snapchat as an effective tool to market to the younger audience, but there's so many people that are on Snapchat right now, and the same content you put on Snapchat doesn't work that well on Facebook. The algorithms on these platforms are constantly changing. You blink your eyes and they're changed again. They're done tomorrow. So you always have to be up to date with what's going on. You don't have to be necessarily an expert, but checking in on the news or what's going on these platforms and the updates, how you can insert yourself in a conversation really shows your audience that you're actively trying to make sure that you get them within your brand. So a lot of brands do this where they see something in the news and then they tweet about it, or they do a Snapchat takeover or a story that really relates to people, and it's done so smoothly and effectively that you don't even feel as if you're being sold something. And also another thing is talking and engaging with your audience is a lot more effective than like spamming their accounts and putting up all these promotional items. You know, it's better to, talk to them and see what they really need and get to know them. It also helps you grow, and it also helps your brand grow overall. It shows people that you care. And also visuals, my last point of visuals is so, so, so important. Visuals really do help your accounts. I know Instagram is a very visual-driven platform, so a lot of people who put a lot of text on Instagram don't really perform that well. Visuals draw people, so as much as you can utilize your brand with amazing visuals, that's the best way to kind of get yourself started on social media.
So Teresa, we just ran a poll actually, and it was to choose what you feel are key components to a strong personal brand. Most of our members on the call thought that authenticity, values, and passion, which was the three choices, were really the most important thing. I'm just thinking about, I mean, social media it's a voice. It's a silent voice, but it's a voice, and it's very powerful. And I mean, we know how it is when sometimes we meet somebody and they are talking and they're over here and they're over there, and you're like, okay, what are we talking about here? I mean, it's the same with social media. The consistency in messaging becomes your brand. So, for instance, for me, I mean, I'm talking in my space mostly about women. Professionally, if it be something happening in the news, Equal Pay Act, whatever it is, I'm keeping consistent in my messaging on social media. So talk about that a little bit, about creating the brand through that messaging and how that can be so powerful.
So social media is, like you mentioned, so much more powerful than what you expect. Like, you tweet something and it has an impact, especially if you have so many followers. People are looking at what you're doing, and if you hold yourself to a certain standard, they're definitely paying attention to everything that you tweet, you Facebook, you message. I would say, as far as like your language and your copy on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., you have to be able to you have to be able to deliver something that it speaks to you. I'm going to try to explain that a little more. When you talk about, in your case, Louise, when you talk about women empowerment, you can't just say, oh, like women empowerment, and then strictly, like, you have to form a conversation there, and you have to ask questions. And especially when you're dealing with a larger social media account, you have to, it can't always be women empowerment, women empowerment, women empowerment. It's got to be like, here's a wonderful quote that I found. Like, tell us a quote that really speaks to you, something that engages with your audience. You also talking with people about moments that impact them when it comes to women empowerment. Talking about ways to uplift people and speaking in the positive instead of the negative is really important when you're crafting language on social media, and promoting yourself in a very natural manner and saying that this is who I am. I'm not afraid of it. This is my brand. But also, how can I help you? I have this large audience. How can I engage with you?
Right, and also, I mean, you mentioned as well about hashtags and all that stuff. I mean, I've seen things out there where the post has been there and there's like 8 hashtags, one after the other. So, I mean, it's very hard to understand all the minutiae of social media because, as you said, it is a growing market moving at a speed with all different algorithms and things happening every day. And I'm sure it's got a lot to do with the more people that join it, they have to keep shifting it to make it work. So when you're posting, I mean, a lot of members on the call might be a bit like me and feel a little overwhelmed by all the social media platforms that are out there, and they want to utilize it because it does reach into a large audience. What would you say is the first space that somebody should go to initially? I mean, that if they want to use social media, and would it depend on what they're promoting to go? So I don't know, if it was a product and service, would they go to Facebook? If they want to be somebody who's known for inspirational quotes and pieces of respite information on what they're experts in, would it be Twitter? I mean, what different platforms would serve somebody best?
Yes, so that's true. So you definitely have to be stronger in a platform that fits your brand 1000%. I mean, with a more open and diverse organization like NAPW, it's good to be aware, be active on all social media platforms so people can easily find you. But when you're strictly, let's say you're a photographer, Instagram is the best place that you can go to highlight your photos and beautiful visuals, and that's where you can use hashtags in a healthy amount so that way people can find your imagery and people can share it and love it. There's also making sure that your stuff is branded. So if you are a photographer or you're a businesswoman and you're saying a beautiful quote that's illustrated beautifully and on Instagram, you want to make sure that your stuff is watermarked or you have your branding around it, so that way you took your time out to create this piece of content. You don't want someone to replicate it and steal it and then you not get the credit for it. Also, to Jessica's point about using like a lot of hashtags is not that healthy, but there are cases like Instagram where you can use it. I mean, Snapchat hashtags are completely useless. Facebook completely useless for hashtags, but Twitter and Instagram is where they highlight. If you're a businesswoman who wants to get more engagement and share a large amount of content, definitely Facebook's the place to be. Twitter is a place to be if you're a journalist and you're in news, and Twitter is conversational. It's in a timeline. Algorithms don't affect Twitter where they just jump around all over the place. You're seeing what people are talking about in real time. So you definitely want to be able to share things that are most recent. So repurposing content that's old probably wouldn't be that best on Twitter. So Snapchat, I know a lot of people are trying to get in on that. I would definitely say a lot of brands are using it in very well-produced ways, which I feel like you have to think of Snapchat as a platform where you can be creative and brand yourself in a way where, look, I'm down with the young people, but I'm also able to promote myself in a positive manner and through video, through visuals, through filters. So yeah, there's a lot of ways, but I feel like it all depends on your brand.
There's quite a few of our members, Abigail, Marcia, they're all talking about Facebook and branding on Facebook. I mean, there's one thing I definitely want to do a shout out here and take this opportunity because I'm thinking about the visual exposure. I mean, everybody on this call is a member of NAPW, and I can't tell you how many times I go into napw.com and I don't see a picture up, a beautiful profile picture of the wonderful woman that I'm trying to find out about. I mean, I think that it's integral that people spend that money to get a fabulous headshot done because that's the first point of contact. We're visual. We like to look at a face. We like to connect, and we connect better through the face initially than we do with the words. The words we go to afterwards. So I'm really doing a shout out right now to all the members on the line. If you do not have a profile picture up, please put one up. It's really, really important, and it actually stops people bypassing you. So thank you, Sarita. Thanks for that information. I do want to get over to Jessica, who I see bouncing on and off here. I think she's having some connection problems. But Jessica, I hope you can stay with us through this question. I want to ask that you help brands market their products on several platforms. Tell us what different steps you take to create a strong brand and how you utilize these different platforms for maximum product exposure and brand recognition.
Absolutely. Thank you, Louise. So there are two things that are really important when you're branding, especially for a larger corporation, a larger brand, and they do still also apply to your personal brand. And the first thing is, and some of the panelists mentioned this over the period here today, is consistency. So not only consistency in terms of the messages that you're conveying, and every time you convey a message, whether it's on social media, in PR, or at an event, whatever it might be, whatever interaction you have with your customers, but also consistency across all the different platforms in terms of the image that you're conveying and the type of message you're conveying. So for example, I work for a lot of health and wellness and beauty clients, And I have some clients where maybe their tone, their voice is more cheerful, fun. It's a more youthful voice. And then I have another client in particular that's a little bit more of an established player in health and wellness, and so.
Oops. Jessica, I think you froze. I'm going to ask you to just jump off and come back on again and see if we can start the conversation again. Actually, Yasmin, I'm going to ask you to come on, if you will, and, you know, just continue from, oh, do we have Jessica back? No? Okay, Yasmin, if you want to just continue on a little bit, just for what she was talking to there.
Absolutely. Of course, she touched on the fact that consistency is the first rule of personal branding, and we need to continue to be there and be there and be there again, show up and show up and show up some more. But also the fact that, as you were mentioning about women being an NAPW and not expressing themselves through that visual image, which is so important in that digital world that we live in. It takes only 3 seconds for someone to make a judgment about you, just an initial judgment based on looking on you. So if they're coming across your profile on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter and there's no picture, you know, that's a big deterrent to them making that connection with you visually, because the visual is so important. I was scanning over some of the comments in the chat room and someone was saying how important it is, you know, to be able to make that visual connection, to look at your eyes and to look at your smile and your face and to make that connection. So that's important. And all the big brands that have survived through the ages that we know that we connect with emotionally, they're there because they have this strong visual presence. We make that emotional connection with them, and of course they deliver on quality in terms of, you know, the value and the substance of what they have to offer, because it isn't just about, you know, the image. Of course, it isn't just about the appearance. We want to make sure that there is that solid foundation, you know, of values, and that you are also on principles, and also that you are building that relationship. So a strong brand embraces all of those things. It's consistency, constancy, and clarity. I keep stressing these 3 C's because they are the hallmarks of personal branding, and this is what makes a strong brand survive through the years.
Right, we actually ran another poll and we asked, what do you think your brand should represent? And the choices we gave are, who are your prospective customers? What are their values and priorities? Who are we? Are we passionate? Are we a passionate extension of those values? And everybody on pretty much on the webinar said that it was all of the above. I know that we're talking, Yasmin, you're talking a bit to the personal brand, and since we keep losing Jessica, I want to just talk a little bit about product branding and what differentiates a product from its competitors, and turning prospective consumers into loyal consumers. So there's a bunch of stuff that goes into place here, and I'm certainly not the expert, but I have a couple of notes here. So it says strong brand can give you the competitive edge you need. Strong brands can, create greater customer loyalty. So if your brand is well defined and authentic and strong, then obviously these things start to happen. So it makes you less sensitive to competitive pricing. So the value is there, so that you can obviously price yourself maybe a little differently than your competitors because you have stronger value. Increased trial of new products so that you can experiment a little more and evolve. Increased support from trade partners, provide focus to marketing efforts, as we're talking about, you know, all that stuff through social media. Act as a powerful tool for guiding internal decision making. So, you know, when your brand is really defined, it gives you a lot of leverage, for sure. So, I mean, we have time for one last question, ladies. And so I'd like you to share with us, and we'll start with Sarita, some tips on leveraging your brand to stand out in the marketplace. I mean, I just touched on some things, but Sarita, if you're coming from the, I mean, both of you, and if we can get Jessica back, coming from the personal branding space, if you can share how to leverage yourself in the marketplace with your personal brand. Sarita, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I probably sound like a broken record right now, but I'm going to repeat some of the things I said earlier. Just making sure that you're consistent, being visible, knowing your audience, making sure that you are engaging with them, and you also have an equal balance of your brand, but also the personal aspect of you to other people. Definitely
Sorry,
not
1 second,
spamming.
Teresa. Can I ask
Okay.
Yasmin just to mute herself, because I know that we were having some problems with feedback. Thank you, Yasmin. Go ahead, Sarita.
Great. So just
Oh, maybe not. Maybe we're having problems all the way around.
okay.
Are you there, Sarita?
I am there.
Okay, if you just stay still, it might hold. Sometimes moving around causes it to delay and freeze. Nope, keep breaking up.
No.
You keep breaking up. So actually, I just want to talk. We did run a last poll, so I do want to talk to this. We asked our members online if a unique story was behind their brand, and most people said yes. Maybe Yasmin, you want to come on, since we keep losing Sarita. Maybe we can go back and forth a little bit depending on the line here. But obviously, a story. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about a personal brand story versus a product line story, and if you can, talk about the difference there.
Well, three things I would share, first of all, about leveraging your personal brand. And one is keep stressing the unique value. Keep differentiating yourself from your competitors and what is unique about your brand. The second one is that visibility is to stay in the eye of your customer, be visible, be there. And the third one is to be relevant. Be relevant to your customers' needs and the needs of your target audience. And regarding stories, it's a great way to keep your brand current. It's a great way to connect with your audience, is to tell the story of your personal brand. I have not done much product marketing personally, but with services and causes, is to tell the story and bring that personal edge that helps to connect emotionally with your audience so that they can relate to what you have to share, and give it to them in bits and pieces, and put that personal touch with it, as someone was saying earlier, even if it's just taking a picture of yourself with your coffee cup in the morning and saying what kind of day this is all about, sharing the story of your brand. How did you come to be? What's happening along the way? In continually connecting and engaging with your audience with personal stories.
Right. Thank you, Yasmin. I think that the personal touch, I'm glad that you brought that in. I mean, especially being able to share a little insight to who you are personally goes a long way. So, Rita, can we try again with you and see if we can, if you can share some more information? You're actually muted. Okay. So here we go. There you are. No, I think we're having problems here, and it's very unfortunate because I'd love to hear more from you, Sarita, but it just keeps breaking up, and we are running out of time. And I do very much want to share with you your recommended reads for our panelists today. We had our panelists share with us some books that would be of great use to you. Jessica picked 2 books, Contagious by Jonah Berger. Berger is an absolute social media authority. He is research and analytics driven and speaks and writes on the social media virility phenomenon. And Onward by Howard Schultz, and the history of Starbucks and how it grew into success after taking a hit with regards to its original branding versus the brand we know and love today. Sarita picked Impressions, the Power of Personal Branding in Living an Extraordinary Life by Coyote Cooper, which talks about embracing small individual interactions with your audience. That personal branding helps to cultivate relationships that you will ultimately improve your life, teaches you how to develop a mindset to understand brand and character. And lastly, Yasmin recommends The Power of Civility and Executive Image Power, and Every Girl Can, a life skills personal development program for preteens and adolescents. She is the co-author to both of those books. Thank you, ladies. There's great choices, and for sharing your insight with us today. It's really much appreciated. And of course, thank you to Star for leading off our eChapter today, as you always do from everywhere you are in the world. And if any of our attendees have further questions, please feel free to reach out to our panelists today via email. Their information is on today's PowerPoint. We'll be listed listed in the post eChapter email. Also, all NAPW eChapters are recorded and saved on YouTube for you to find and watch again. And as we wrap up our eChapter event, I'd like to thank the 1,100 members who registered for our event today, Talia, Sam and Dana for chatting with the attendees, and the NAPW team as a whole for supporting and working with me, bringing our eChapter to life. Our next eChapter event will be Wednesday, May 4th at 4 p.m. Eastern, and the topic is how to combat stress. For more information to sign up for future events, please visit our eChapter group page on napw.com. Also a reminder that post eChapter there will be a short survey sent out with the recorded version of today's event. Please take a few minutes to fill this out. Your feedback is very important to us. Thank you, NAPW members, for another great eChapter, and we look forward to seeing you next time. And please enjoy the rest of your day.